Hello and welcome back to the Young Business Community. Today we're in conversation with one of the founders of Setšong African Tea Crafters. She'll be telling us more about the brand and of course giving motivation and wisdom to you as a young entrepreneur. Do not forget to follow @GearinArain on Instagram and drop me all your tax related questions. We're still working on getting a tax practitioner to answer all of those. Subscribe to the channel, give this video a thumbs up, and of course do let us know what you think on the comment section. I first started by asking Ratang what inspired the birth of Setšong African Tea and of course the name.
Okay, so Setšong means culture. It's a Swedish word. Our brand was born in Sekhukhune land in Limpopo. And it was initially started as a community initiative and not actually as a business. But the community initiative was driven around finding socio-economic solutions that could basically uplift our communities in the rural areas. So the model that we used to actually find and develop Setšong was a model of asset-based community development, which is a model that leads communities to actually find natural assets, things that they have already that they can use for economic upliftment. And so our research in the community found that there's a lot of indigenous knowledge, and this is like indigenous knowledge of plants, of foods, of a lifestyle, really a very sustainable lifestyle, because we found in the communities people living sustainably, not really depending on a lot of finances to live, and that was all because of indigenous knowledge. So the main area that fascinated us in this indigenous knowledge pool was the knowledge from the elders of plants that have a lot of healing benefits. So we sat with the community, interacted with them. We found that there are teas that they are drinking, and they were delicious. So we took these teas to get analyzed and found that they're not only delicious, but they also have a lot of health benefits, to the body. And in these modern times that we're living in, and the foods that we're eating, our health seems to be, getting worse. So we felt that these indigenous plants could be a great solution for many people. And then that's how we decided to develop the brand. And we called it Setšong so that it has the identity of the indigenous knowledge holders. When they see it on their shelves, they know that that's their brand, and they can connect with it, and it represents them.
It's definitely an interesting and wonderful business model that has led birth to such a wonderful experience. I know a whole lot of Setšong tea enjoyers really enjoy your tea. But tell us, when entering into the space of the indigenous-based market, what challenges did you face as a startup?
Well, we were introducing teas that have never been heard of, especially on a commercial scale. So, when we think of tea in South Africa, the main tea that we all drink is rooibos. And many South Africans think that rooibos is the only indigenous tea that South Africa has. So we basically had to change that mindset and reintroduce something new completely to the market. Introducing something called Tepane tea, something called Dia tea that nobody has ever heard of, and introducing it using the very indigenous names, not really altering and using English names. So that was kind of a challenge on its own, in making people understand what this is that they're drinking. And not only that, but obviously entering a space where predominantly Black women aren't really participating, which is in the tea industry. So that was a big challenge, but we were so excited to embark on the journey of basically breaking all those boundaries and changing the norm. When we entered the market, a lot of people would ask us, what's the English name of this? And we would say, there is no English name because the indigenous knowledge holders call it this, and there isn't a history really of this tea being drank in Western culture. So please, we basically had to create a space for it, with its original identity. But the way we did that was by basically fusing it with things that people are familiar with. So we'd create infusions using fruits and herbs that people are familiar with to make it easy for them to really understand it better. So, we then decided to create a range of teas that basically meets different types of needs. So we created a sleep tea using strawberry and fennel with the dia red root tea, because the dia root on its own is already very calming, reducing blood pressure and all those properties. So we created calming teas out of it, detox teas. Then using the Tepane blackbush tea, we'd create energy teas because it's very high in antioxidants and nutrients. And we created food teas, So we basically made it. We combined the modern world with the traditional world so that people can really understand it better.
Yeah, I just love how you keep things to its original context, like where it comes from originally. Now, as Setšong Tea, you combined the old age practice and wisdom of our grandmothers and our great-grandmothers and how they used to prepare tea for themselves throughout the ages. What advice would you give young entrepreneurs looking to enter into this indigenous market space?
Well, what I would tell young people is, number one, to get into the indigenous space, the journey starts with you as an entrepreneur. It starts with you embracing your culture, your identity, who you are, and also developing a curiosity to learn more about your history, about your culture and your roots. So that's where the journey started with us. My mom and I basically, and my brother, actually our whole family, embarked on a journey as a family and made a conscious decision to go back home and rediscover our heritage. And that's where we were able to find these solutions, and basically we were able to preserve knowledge that almost got lost. And that just started with us wanting to rediscover our heritage. So once you take that journey of unleashing a lot of treasures that were left by our ancestors and things like that, then you can be in a position to then develop those assets and that knowledge and develop so many different things from it, because indigenous knowledge holds so many solutions. There's solutions for lifestyle, for skincare, for food, for arts and craft. There's so many different assets that we have in our heritage. So it's just about being creative and then merging a little bit of modern experiences into that traditional sphere, and developing things that will be exciting for the market through that. But it's very important for us to take that step and document our heritage, because we are at risk of losing it. A lot of our history is not documented. A lot of the knowledge is held in the minds of the elders, but they're really waiting for young people to come so that they can pour it out, before we lose it completely. And then from the point of having an idea that you want to conceptualize, then it's just about really being persevering and innovative. The market is hungry for new and fresh ideas. So it's just about positioning yourself from there.
important. I like the point of preserving knowledge, really, that our ancestors have kept, but unfortunately it is somehow being lost. Now, I just love your business model. I love Setšong Tea as a brand, and I love how you as Setšong Tea work hand in glove with the community. Can you tell us how this kind of cooperation came up?
So, when we decided on a business model, we wanted to create something that is inclusive and that represents people and that leaves a legacy for people in rural communities.
Yeah.
So what we decided to do is not just like kind of create a tea business and then employ people. What we decided to do was partner with communities and develop them and their skills, and rather be their partners and their mentors rather than their employers. So we decided, my mom's been doing community work for 14 years. So she basically grouped members of the community to actually start their own tea processing businesses. Which are cooperatives. So then these cooperatives were groomed on business, finance, and basically equipped with all the tools to run their own micro entities. And then what they do is they do the harvesting, the grinding, all the primary processing of the tea. And then we registered a separate entity called Summer 87, which is a buyer of that tea. So we buy the tea from the communities, and then we only do value addition, like flavoring them into different infusions, packaging it and putting it in the market. And so our job is basically to create a demand for these products, but the primary production is done in the community so that they can be the main custodians and owners of the product. And we did that so that there's real inclusion in the value chain, and they can create jobs in their own communities and really be the leaders of their own development.
That's actually such a wonderful story. Corporate and community coming together to produce such a wonderful product. Now, when you started off as Setšong Tea, your packaging, you started by packaging your teas, which was 2 teas at the time, in this small brown bags. Today we have this wonderful packaging that you offer us that does pay tribute to its origins. Can you please tell us what led to the developments and the transition in your packaging?
Okay, so when we started with the brown paper bags, it was really because we didn't have the means to do anything better. We just wanted to start, and we wanted to just be able to put the product out and start getting feedback from people and seeing what people think of the product. So we just decided to put a little bit of money together and buy some brown paper bags and stick labels on them. And then through that, we were able to do market testing, get feedback from clients and potential consumers on what they think about the product. And as that journey went on, we started making sales in those brown paper bags. And through the feedback and the money we were able to generate from those sales, we started improving the packaging and developing the identity of the brand. And in developing the identity of the brand, we wanted it to represent the people behind the brand. And so we then chose to go fully with Babedi colors, patterns, and everything. So that when you look at the Setšong Tea box, you are able to make a connection with where the product comes from and represent the beauty in our cultures. So South African cultures have so much color, so many different patterns, and we often just are showcasing that only through art and through clothing, but we thought this would be a unique opportunity to actually showcase it through our packaging. So it was just basically our packaging. We try for our packaging to be a part of our storytelling.
Okay, so whilst we're still on the topic of packaging and branding and brand identity, what advice would you have for young entrepreneurs in terms of packaging?
So what I would recommend is for young entrepreneurs always to push the boundaries and try something different, don't follow the norm. Tell your story through your packaging. Your packaging is really the face of your brand. So although it's in South Africa, especially as a small business, it's kind of difficult getting access to good packaging at reasonable prices. So it really requires you to be as innovative as possible and resourceful as possible. So it's great to actually partner with other entrepreneurs or artists and things like that, so that we can showcase something unique that isn't common in the market. So we have that advantage of having art and resources that are very uncommon in the international sphere. So I think what I'd advise is that people just become very creative, because we are limited with resources and access to affordable packaging. So it's just about being creative, but really staying true to your brand and tell your story through your packaging.
Staying true to your brand and being creative. I think that is wonderful advice. Now, Setšong Tea has grown in terms of your product offering. You keep adding throughout the years. What would you say has inspired the different flavors that you guys offer?
People inspire our different flavors, So our customers' feedback, we rely a lot on that. We do a lot of customer interaction through doing pop-up markets and tea tastings. We recently started offering tea experiences at our farm, where people actually come and blend their own flavors of tea. So we take a lot of inspiration from our customers to extend our brand, but obviously also trends inform some of the decisions. For instance, what has really been taken quite a big trend right now is gin. And gin is made from botanicals. So we have such unique botanicals. Then we decided to come up with our own village gin. That's what we've called it, village gin. So we basically just we keep our ears on the ground and hear what people are needing. And also responding to lifestyle needs. For instance, if people are looking for something to help them sleep well at night, we create something for that. People are looking for detox remedies. So, it involves a lot of customer interaction. We do regular surveys as well, just to find out what people are looking for, and that helps us to develop our offering.
My next question is actually going to be about the Africa Village Gin. I see it's a new product offering that you guys have. Very exciting times, I must say. Is there more that you can tell us about the product?
Yes, so our African Village Gin, it's very exciting. It's very delicious. It's really unlike any other product that I've tasted. So it offers a very unique flavor, especially we have combined our Dipane Black Bush tea and the Dia Red Root tea together into one gin, and you can really get the flavors of the teas and the herbs from the gin. And what's very interesting about it is that you don't get a hangover from drinking this gin. It's quite pleasant, and I think it's a result of the tea inside it. So it's very smooth and delicious. You get very spicy floral tones from it. So it's very exciting, and we've been getting really great feedback from our customers already on the gin. So we're excited to add something from Limpopo to South Africa's craft gin library. So we're very excited about it.
Sounds very interesting, if I might say so myself. Now you guys just keep adding. We go from tea, now we have gin. I don't even know what's next, but I think it's going to be quite exciting. What advice would you have for entrepreneurs in terms of product development? How important is that?
It's very important because we're not just, competing with products in South Africa, we're competing with the world. So it's very important to be innovative and, even when you've developed a product, don't get comfortable with it. Always see how you can improve it, and don't take your customers' dissatisfaction as something negative. Use your customers' feedback as a way to constantly improve your products. So product development is very important. If every business can afford or has a team big enough to have somebody who's always focused on product development, that's very essential. Just because times are moving so fast as well, people's needs are changing every day, so having a dedicated division in your business for product development is very important.
Very, very important. Now, I just saw you launched the new dates for the Tea Village experience. What can people expect from that?
Okay, so the tea experience is something very unique. It offers you an authentic platform to interact with these indigenous knowledge holders that we speak about all the time. So it's basically an opportunity to interact with the elders, hear from them about their way of life, their experiences, what brought them to this point of developing their own businesses. But it's also just a platform for people to interact again with rural life and actually see that rural life can be fun and enjoyable, that we can really have good times in the rural areas. So you are started on the tour with traditional dancing, singing, and then we take you to each and every single tea processing phase of our business. So you get to experience traditional stone grinding of the tea. You see how it's processed and dried. You get to create your own blend of tea as well, that you can take home. You get tea tasting opportunities where you taste different flavors of tea, but the most unique part is just the storytelling across the tour. So all the components of the tour involve storytelling from indigenous knowledge holders, and then of course you're ended off with a very delicious lunch that is just completely fully made of indigenous foods, and even the meats that we serve are of like the chickens growing in our farm as well, so everything is organic. And then you're also able to taste our gin and tea cocktails. So we've made cocktails that include both the tea and the gin. But overall, it's just an opportunity to get out, be in the outdoors. Our farm is very bushy and wild, so you really get to be in touch with nature. And it's basically like an experience, basically to just touch base again with your roots and get that interaction from the elders. You can even ask them for advice and things like that. So it's kind of like a very intimate experience.
Sounds very lively and very exciting. I hope I can catch one of those experiences. Hopefully, maybe I'll make a blog out of it so that people can really get to understand what it is like getting back in touch with your roots and just experiencing nature and being organic again. Sounds like very, very, very interesting. Our last question for today, last but not least, any future plans for Setšong Tea? What can Setšong Tea lovers look forward to in the future?
Well, Setšong is always evolving. We're still like a very small business, so we're still trying so many different things. Actually, we're really just at the beginning. So there'll be a lot of developments in our product range. We're developing iced teas. We are working with people in the cosmetics industry to develop skincare out of our teas. So in terms of product development, there's quite a lot that we're working on. Also also infusing other interesting herbs within our tea range that you'll see soon. So yeah, I think what's most exciting is on the product development front. But even at our farm, we're trying to actually develop an indigenous Bapedi museum, where we're basically collecting different old artifacts and things like that of the Bapedi culture and like lifestyle and living, just so that we can preserve as much as possible about our history. So we're working on a lot of different projects, so there's still so much more to come from Setšong.
Sounds like very interesting, and healthy times are yet to come for Setšong Tea. I wish you all the best with your future endeavors. May Setšong Tea grow and grow and grow.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate this opportunity to share more about our business, and just really I just want to encourage people who are starting their own businesses to keep working at it, be resilient, do as much research as you can about the market, about how you can improve your product. But we really need more African entrepreneurs participating in the economy, really, so that we can create more jobs, especially in these very trying times. So yeah, just keep at it.
Very trying times. Thank you for those words of encouragement. Ratang, that brings us to the end of today's interview. Thank you so much for responding to our invitation, for honoring us with your time, and for sharing a pearls of wisdom as you did today for everybody at Young Business. Thank you so much for your time. Thank you so much for watching. That is it for this episode, leaving you with wonderful pictures from Setšong African Tea Crafters. This is from the tea experience, and of course of that gin as mentioned in the interview. Follow us on Instagram to leave your tax-related questions at Rain, and of course follow Setšong African Tea. I'll leave all the details in the description box. Until next time, thank you so much for watching.